Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Be sure to subscribe to our channel. We publish new videos every day. Don't forget, grab your smartphone and download the Lava Matra app and stay in touch. Guru Mahārāja's message is your advantage. The following is a Sri Kṛṣṇa Caitanya book compilation by His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Mahārāja on December 25th, 2020 in Sri Mayapur, India.
Angulang ayate garim yachitatahan vande Sri Gurum Inatadinam Maranandamadavam Sri Caitanya Ishram Om Tat Sat.
Hare Krishna. Today we will continue with the compilation of the Sri Kṛṣṇa Caitanya book. Today's chapter is entitled as Māyāvāda Bhāṣya, taught by Sārvabhauma Bhattacharya, is refuted by Lord Caitanya. Murari Gupta Karcha. Then, in the afternoon, in the presence of the Bhattacharya and a host of Brahmanas, Mahaprabhu explained how the confidential purport of the Vedanta Sutras points to the shelter of Murari's lotus feet. Chaitanya Mangal.
Vedanto Niguru Katha Puchilo Thakur Krishna Padasray Katha Amrita Anko. Lord Caitanya asked to reveal the
Lord Caitanya asked to reveal the
secret Vedanta version
secret Vedanta version
that explains the secret to
explains the secrets
accepting shelter at the lotus feet of Lord Kṛṣṇa.
of accepting shelter at the lotus feet of Lord Kṛṣṇa.
These are nectarian descriptions.
The nectarian description of accepting shelter at the lotus feet of Lord Kṛṣṇa. Chaitanya Charita Mahakavya. Sārvabhauma, who was directly Brihaspati, spoke concerning Vedanta, conventionally using proud words. The Lord listened and then explained everything in a different way.
Lord Caitanya, he kept presenting himself very humbly, Sārvabhauma Bhāṣya.
So Lord Caitanya, he kept himself presenting very humbly to Sārvabhauma Bhattacharya.
Listened to Sārvabhauma Bhattacharya.
He listened to Sārvabhauma Bhattacharya
expounding on the Māyāvāda Vedanta Sutra.
Expounding on the Māyāvāda Vedanta Sutra.
During the 7 days, Lord Caitanya didn't speak anything.
In the 7 days, Lord Caitanya didn't speak anything.
On the 8th day, Sārvabhauma asked, why are you not saying anything?
On the 8th day, Sārvabhauma Bhattacharya asked, why are you not saying anything?
And in his own way, Lord Caitanya explained that he understood the verses.
In his own way, Lord Caitanya said that he understood the verses,
not the explanation.
but not the explanation.
So he wanted the verses actually direct one to shelter at Lord Kṛṣṇa's lotus feet.
The verses actually directs one to take shelter of Lord Kṛṣṇa's lotus feet.
And the natural commentary of the Vedanta Sutra is the Srimad Bhagavatam.
And the natural commentary on the Vedanta Sutra is the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Anyway, the Lord listens and then refutes the Mayavāda interpretation.
Anyway, the Lord listens and refutes the Mayavadi interpretations. What are you saying? What is the opposing argument? Are you showing the conclusion with proof? This is not the meaning of Vedanta. Please listen to what I explain.
This Sārvabhauma Bhāṣya.
This is Sārvabhauma Bhattacharya saying. The Lord supplied arguments to counter Sārvabhauma's conclusions and defeated Advaitavada. He established Bhakti as his conclusion. In this way, with all proofs using Shakti, Tatparya, Lakshana, Gauna and Mukhya meanings as well as Jahat Swartha and Ajahat Swartha, he established his position.
There is a system of Nyaya,
There is a system of Nyaya,
of debating on Shastra,
on debating on the Shastras,
using various systems.
using various systems,
And some things are prohibited also.
and some things are prohibited also.
So using
using the different
processes of debate, using the Vedic parameters,
using the different processes of debate and using the Vedic grammars,
he established his position.
he established his position. Caitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela.
প্রভু কর্তৃক সার্বভৌমের মায়াবাদ ভাষ্য ব্যাখ্যান নিরসন। প্রভু কহে সূত্রের অর্থ বুঝে নির্মল, তোমার ব্যাখ্যা শুনি মন হয়তো বিকল।
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then revealed his mind, saying, I can understand the meaning of each sutra very clearly, but your explanation have simply agitated my mind. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. The factual meaning of the aphorisms of the Vedanta Sutra is as clear as sunshine. The Mayavadi philosophers simply try to cover the sunshine with the clouds of interpretations imagined by Shankaracharya and his followers.
মুখ্য অভিধা ভিত্তিতে ব্রহ্মসূত্র অর্থ সহজ, গৌণ লক্ষণায় কল্পনা আশ্রয় উহা আবৃত্তি। সূত্রের অর্থ ভাষ্য কহে প্রকাশিয়া, ভাষ্য কহ তুমি সূত্রের অর্থ আচ্ছা দিয়া।
The meaning of the aphorisms in the Vedanta Sutra contain clear purports in themselves, but other purports you presented simply covered the meaning of the sutras like a cloud. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Please refer to Adi Leela 7th chapter, verses 106 to 146 for an explanation of this verse.
সূত্রের মুখ্য অর্থ না করহ ব্যাখ্যান, কল্পনার্থে তুমি তাহা করো আচ্ছাদন।
You do not explain the direct meaning of the Brahma Sutras. Indeed, it appears that your business is to cover their real meaning. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Jai Shri Krishna. This is typical of all Mayavadis or atheists who interpret the meaning of the Vedic literature in their own imaginative way. The real purpose of such foolish people is to impose the impersonalist conclusion on all Vedic literature. The Mayavadi atheists also interpret the Bhagavad Gita. In every verse of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly stated that Kṛṣṇa is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In every verse, Vyasadeva says, Shri Bhagavanu Vacha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, or the Blessed Lord said. It is clearly stated that the Blessed Lord is the Supreme Person, but the Mayavadi atheists still try to prove that the absolute truth is impersonal. In order to present their false imaginary meanings, they must adapt to so much word jugglery and grammatical interpretation that they can finally become ludicrous. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu remarked that no one should hear the Mayavadi commentaries or purports to any Vedic literatures.
So here, Lord Chaitanya is presenting to Sārvabhauma Bhattacharya
So here, Lord Chaitanya is presenting to Sārvabhauma Bhattacharya
that his commentary covers the real meaning of the Vedanta Sutra.
that his commentary covers the real meaning of the Vedanta Sutra.
Not only the commentaries are supposed to make a verse easier to understand,
Normally, the commentaries are supposed to make the verses easier to understand.
but here Sārvabhauma Bhattacharya is covering the real meaning with his false interpretations.
But here, Sārvabhauma Bhattacharya is covering the real meaning with his false interpretation.
Lord Chaitanya was waiting, and now he's striking out.
So Lord Chaitanya was waiting and now he is striking out. Chaitanya Charitamrita.
উপনিষদ প্রতিপাদ্য অর্থ এই সূত্রাকারে বেদান্তে নিবদ্ধ উপনিষদ শব্দে যেই মুখ্য অর্থ হয় সেই অর্থ মুখ্য ব্যাসসূত্রে সব কয়
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, the Vedanta Sutra is the summary of all the Upanishads. Therefore, whatever direct meaning is there in the Upanishads is also recorded in the Vedanta Sutra or Vyasa Sutra. Purport by Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati has explained the word Upanishad in his Anubhashya. Please refer to Adi Leela, 2nd chapter, 5th verse, and Adi Leela, 7th chapter, verses 106 and 108 for his explanation.
মুখ্যার্থ ছাড়িয়া করো গৌণ অর্থ কল্পনা অভিদা বৃত্তি ছাড়ি করো শব্দের লক্ষণা
For each sutra, the direct meaning must be accepted without interpretation. However, you simply abandon the direct meaning and proceed with your imaginative interpretation.
Today is a special Gita Jayanti day.
Today is the special Gita Jayanti day.
We're celebrating the appearance of the Gita.
We are celebrating the appearance of the Gita.
All over the world, people are having ceremonies.
All over the world, people are having ceremonies.
Prabhupada also, Prabhupada established Bhagavad Gita as it is.
Srila Prabhupada also established Bhagavad Gita as it is.
To give the direct interpretation,
To give the direct interpretation,
direct meaning,
the direct meaning,
avoid any imaginative interpretation.
and avoid any imaginative interpretation.
So, Lord Chaitanya was making a commentary that Sārvabhauma was concealing the actual meaning of the Vedanta Sutra by his imaginative interpretation.
So Lord Chaitanya was making that the Sārvabhauma Bhattacharya is making his imaginative commentaries, interpretations on the Vedanta Sutra.
শব্দ বা বেদই মুখ্য প্রমাণ প্রমাণের মধ্যে শ্রুতি প্রমাণ প্রধান শ্রুতি যে মুখ্যার্থ কহে সেই সে প্রমাণ
Although there is other evidence the evidence given in the Vedic version must be taken as foremost. Vedic versions understood directly are first-class evidence. Works that should be consulted are Srila Jiva Goswami's Tattva Sandarbha, Srila Baladeva Vidya Bhushana's commentary on that and following verses of the Brahma Sutra, Shastra Yonitvat, Tarka Pratishtanat, and Shrutestu Shabda Moolatvat, as commented upon by Sri Ramanujacharya, Sri Madhvacharya, Sri Nimbarka Acharya, and Srila Baladeva Vidya Bhushana. In his work Sarva Samvadini, Srila Jiva Goswami has noted that although there are 10 kinds of evidence, direct perception, the Vedic version, historical reference, hypothesis, and so on, and although they are all generally accepted as evidence, the person presenting a hypothesis, reading the Vedic version, perceiving or interpreting by his experience is certain to be imperfect in 4 ways. That is, he is subject to committing mistakes, to becoming illusion, to cheating and having imperfect senses. Although the evidence may be correct, the person himself is in danger of being misled due to his material defects. Apart from the direct presentation, there is a chance that an interpretation may not be perfect. Therefore, the conclusion is that only a direct presentation can be considered evidence. An interpretation cannot be accepted as evidence, but may be considered a proof of evidence. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is at the very beginning, it is stated, Dhritarashtra Vacha Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Yutsavaha Mamakav Pandavaschaiva Kim Makurvada Sanjaya. The statements of the Bhagavad Gita are themselves proof that there is a place of religious pilgrimage named Kurukshetra, where the Pandavas and Kurus met to fight. After meeting there, what did they do? This was Dhritarashtra's inquiry to Sanjaya. Although these statements are very clear, atheists try to interpret different meanings of the words Dharma, Kshetra and Kurukshetra. Therefore, Srila Jiva Goswami has warned us not to depend on any kind of interpretation. It is better to take the verses as they are without interpretation.
So Prabhupada is giving the process of discussing any Vedic evidence.
So Srila Prabhupada is giving a process of discussing any Vedic evidence.
Interpretation is not evidence.
Interpretation is not evidence. Caitanya Charitamrita.
দৃষ্টান্ত জীবের অস্থিবিষ্ঠা দুই শঙ্খ গোময় শ্রুতি বাক্যে সেই দুই মহাপবিত্র হয়
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, Conch shells and cow dung are nothing but bones and the stool of same living entities. Some living entities. But according to the Vedic version, they are both considered very pure. Taught by Srila Prabhupada. According to Vedic principles, bones and dung are generally considered very impure. If one touches a bone or stool, he must take a bath immediately. That is the Vedic injunction. Yet the Vedas also enjoin that a conch shell, although the bone of an animal, and cow dung, although the stool of an animal, is very much sanctified. Even though such statements appear contradictory, on the basis of the Vedic version, we still accept the fact that conch shells and cow dung are pure and sanctified.
So the expert said some master.
So the expert spiritual master
knows how to balance the different injunctions of the Vedas.
knows how to balance the different injunctions of the Vedas.
The injunction that touch a bone or animal stool,
There is an injunction that if you touch a bone or animal stool,
you take a bath.
you should take a bath.
At the same time,
At the same time,
the Vedas say that conch shell and cow dung are pure.
the Vedas say that conch shell and cow dung is pure.
So the expert spiritual master knows of these injunctions and can give proper
So the expert
advice.
spiritual master knows these injunctions and can give proper advice.
অক্ষজ জ্ঞানে অসৌত পন্থায় বেদ দুর্বোধ্য তো প্রমাণ বেদ সত্য যেই কয় লক্ষ্য না করিতে শত প্রমাণ্য হানি হয়।
The Vedic statements are self-evident. Whatever is stated there must be accepted. If we interpret according to our own imagination, the authority of the Vedas is immediately lost. Report by Srila Prabhupada. Out of four main types of evidence, direct perception, hypothesis, historical reference, and the Vedas, the Vedic evidence is accepted as the foremost. If we want to interpret the Vedic version, we must imagine an interpretation according to what we want to do. First of all, we set forth such an interpretation as a suggestion on hypothesis. As much as such, it is not actually true, and the self-evident point proof is lost. Srila Madhvacharya, commenting on the aphorism Drishyate tu Vedanta Sutra 2.1.6 quotes Bhavishya Purana. The verse says, Rik Veda, Jajur Veda, Sama Veda, Atharva Veda, Mahabharata, Pancharatra, and original Ramayana are all considered Vedic literature. The Puranas that are especially meant for Vaishnavas, such as Brahma Vaivarta Purana, Naradiya Purana, Vishnu Purana, and Bhagavata Purana, are also Vedic literature. Therefore, whatever stated in such Puranas or in the Mahabharata and Ramayana is self-evident. There is no need for interpretation. The Bhagavad Gita is also within the Mahabharata. Therefore, all the statements of the Bhagavad Gita are self-evident. There is no need for interpretation, and if we do interpret, the entire authority of the Vedic literature is lost.
The right meaning of Vedic literature is the evidence.
So the direct meaning of the Vedic literature is the evidence.
And if someone comments and screws out some other meaning,
If someone comments and gives out some other meanings,
then the whole Vedic evidence is ruined.
so the whole Vedic evidence is ruined.
And we lose the authority of Vedic literature.
And we lose the authority of the lose the authority of the Vedic literature. Caitanya Charitamrita Madhyalila.
শঙ্কর ভাষ্য বেদান্ত বিরুদ্ধ ব্যাস সূত্রের অর্থ জয়ছে সূর্যের কিরণ সকল্পিত ভাষ্য মেঘে করে আচ্ছাদন।
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, the Brahma Sutra compiled by Srila Vyasadeva is as radiant as the sun. One who tries to interpret its meaning simply covers that sunshine with a cloud.
Here Lord Chaitanya is saying how the direct meaning of the Sutta should be It's said to not
So here Lord Chaitanya is saying how the direct meaning of the sutras should be accepted, not how
any interpretation which may color the original meaning of the sutra.
any interpretation which may cover the original meaning of the sutra.
বেদ ও শাশ্বত পুরাণে সবিশেষ ব্রহ্ম শ্রী ভগবানই উদ্দিষ্ট। বেদ পুরাণে কহে ব্রহ্ম নিরূপণ, সেই ব্রহ্ম বৃহদস্ত ঈশ্বর লক্ষণ।
All the Vedas and literature that strictly follows the Vedic principle explain that Supreme Brahman is the absolute truth, the greatest of all, and a feature of the Supreme Lord. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. The greatest of everything is Sri Kṛṣṇa. Lord Kṛṣṇa states in the Bhagavad Gita, Vedaischa sarvair ahameva vedyaha. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.11, it is said that the absolute truth is understood in three phases, namely Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavan Niti Shabdyate. Thus, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the last word in understanding the absolute truth, Brahman.
সচ্চিদানন্দ বিগ্রহ নির্বিশেষ নহে, সর্ব ঐশ্বর্য পরিপূর্ণ স্বয়ং ভগবান, তারে নিরাকার করি করহ ব্যাখ্যান।
Actually, the Supreme Absolute Truth, a person, is a person, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, full with opulences, all opulences. You are trying to explain Him as impersonal and formless. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Brahman means Brihattattva, the greatest of all. The greatest of all is Sri Kṛṣṇa, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He possesses all potencies and opulence in full. Therefore, the absolute truth is the greatest of all, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Whatever one says, Brahman or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the fact is the same, for they are identical. In the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna accepted Kṛṣṇa as Parabrahma Paramdhama. Bhagavad Gita 10.12. Although the living entities or material nature are sometimes described as Brahman, Parabrahman, the Supreme, the greatest of all Brahmans, is still Kṛṣṇa, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is full with all opulences, and as such he possesses all riches, all strength, all reputation, all knowledge, all beauty, and all renunciation. He eternally a person and eternally supreme. If one tries to explain the Supreme impersonally, one distorts the real meaning of Brahman.
So the Mayāvāda philosophers, their distorted interpretation of the Vedanta Sutra.
The Mayavadi philosophers, they have distorted the
Meaning of the Vedanta Sutra.
meaning of the Vedanta Sutra. Sorry, Guru Maharaj.
Therefore, try to give some impersonal interpretation.
Therefore, they try to give some impersonal interpretation.
And this is highly disliked by the Vaishnavas.
So this is highly disliked by the Vaishnavas.
They consider it an offense to Lord Kṛṣṇa.
It is considered as an offense to Lord Kṛṣṇa.
Lord Caitanya established the actual evidence of the Vedas.
So Lord Chaitanya is establishing the actual evidence of the Vedas.
নির্বিশেষ অর্থে প্রাকৃত বিশেষ বা বৈচিত্র্য নিরাশ নির্বিশেষ তারে কহে যেই শ্রুতিগণ প্রাকৃত নিষেধ করে অপ্রাকৃত স্থাপন
Wherever there is an impersonal description in the Vedas mean to establish that everything belonging to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is transcendental and free from mundane characteristics. There are many impersonal statements about the Supreme Personality of Godhead as stated in the Shvetashvara Upanishad 3.19. Although the Supreme Lord is described as having no hands and legs, he nonetheless accepts all sacrificial offerings. He has no eyes, yet he sees everything. He has no ears, yet he hears everything. When it is stated that the Supreme Lord has no hands and legs, one should not think that he is impersonal. Rather, he has no mundane hands or legs like ours. He has no eyes, yet he sees. This means that he does not have mundane limited eyes like ours. Rather, he has such eyes that he can see past, present, and future everywhere in every corner of the universe and in every corner of the heart of every living entity. Thus, the impersonal descriptions in the Vedas intend to deny mundane characteristics in the Supreme Lord. They do not intend to establish the Supreme Lord as impersonal.
Anywhere where it says that the Supreme Lord is Nirguna,
Anywhere in the verse, if it says, if the Supreme Lord is Nirguna
or without quality,
or without qualities,
that means without material quality.
that means without material qualities.
He has spiritual quality,
He has spiritual qualities,
which we have no experience of.
which we have no experience of.
সবিশেষ শ্রী ভগবানই শ্রুতির উদ্দিষ্ট শ্রী চৈতন্য চন্দ্রোদয় নাটক 6-67 ধৃত হয় শিষ্য পঞ্চরাত্র বচন
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued. This is a verse from Caitanya Chandrodaya Nataka. So this is the translation. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued. Whatever Vedic mantras describe the absolute truth impersonally only prove in the end that the absolute truth is a person. The Supreme Lord is understood in two features, impersonal and personal. If one considers the Supreme Personality of Godhead in both features, one can actually understand the absolute truth. He knows that the personal understanding is stronger because we see that everything is full of variety. No one can see anything that is not full of variety. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. This is a quotation from Sri Chaitanya Chandrodaya Nataka 6.67 by Kavi Karnapura.
শ্রী ভগবানই সর্বকারকে উদ্দিষ্ট ব্রহ্ম হইতে জন্মে বিশ্ব ব্রহ্মেতে জীবয় সেই ব্রহ্মে পুনরপি হয়ে যায় লয়
Everything in the cosmic manifestation emanates from the absolute truth, remains in the absolute truth, and after annihilation again enters the absolute truth. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Jai Srila Prabhupada. In the Taittiriya Upanishad, it is said, Yato va imani bhutani jayante. The entire material cosmic manifestation is born of the Supreme Brahman. Also, the Brahma Sutra begins with Janmatyasya Yataha. The Bhagavatam 1.1.1. The absolute truth is that from whom everything emanates. Brahma Samhita 1.1.2. The absolute truth is Kṛṣṇa. In the Bhagavad Gita, Kṛṣṇa says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. Therefore, Kṛṣṇa is the original absolute truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Again, Kṛṣṇa states in the Bhagavad Gita, Maya tatam idam sarvam jagadavyakta murtina. By me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. And as confirmed in the Brahma Samhita, Goloka eva nivasatya kilatma bhutaha. Although the Lord always stays in his abode Goloka Vrindavan, he is still all-pervading. His all-pervasive feature is understood to be the impersonal because one does not find the form of the Lord in that all-pervasiveness. Actually, everything is resting on the rays of his bodily effulgence. The Brahma Samhita 5.40 also states that Yasya Prabha Prabhavato Jagadhanda Kotis Vashesha Vasudhadi Vibhuti Bhinnam. Due to the rays of the Lord's bodily effulgence, millions of universes are created just as the planets are created from the sun. So Hare Krishna, dear devotees, we'll end here today. We'll continue tomorrow. Hare Krishna.
Do you like our ad-free videos? Be sure to subscribe to our channel. We publish new videos every day, and don't forget to like and share our channel.